Joe Budden, a retired rapper, made headlines earlier this year when he launched a tirade during an episode of his Joe Budden podcast that ended with him firing his co-hosts Rory and Mal. The musician-turned-podcaster of the Joe Budden podcast has been at the center of a social media storm since alleged audio recordings of him firing former friends and show co-hosts Rory Farrell and Jamal Mal Clay were leaked online on Wednesday. The public and petty dismissal of the podcast's two presenters, coupled with allegations of sexual harassment in the workplace, appears to be just the latest bout of self-sabotage by Budden. Fans of the show were left in the dark as to who the presenter was and why he left. Without an explanation of why former friends and show co-host Rory Farrell and Jamal Mal Clay are taking an indefinite sabbatical, fans of the Joe Budden podcast speculated on Twitter about money and ownership rights of the show and became embroiled in controversy. Meanwhile, Mal and Rory sat down under their own title and name and bowed out before their first show together. Let's listen to Joe addressing the split on Facebook.
My situation with a good friend of mine that I went through the exact same situation vis-a-vis a podcast.
Yeah, no, we talked. That's the thing. When I was going through that, and I'm not trying to give Facebook this exclusive, so I'll keep this brief. But when I was going through that, I'm real meticulous with things. So I called a bunch of people that I looked up to and searched and sought advice. And I got a lot of information. But all of the information was how to handle the business. Nobody really spoke to how to handle the love part of it, right?
Right.
So I dropped the ball. I dropped the ball on the love part. But I don't do well in certain situations. Like,
it's a breakup.
And I'll end this here, but right, like, I'm never gonna do well when I feel taken advantage of ever. That's not a Mal Rory thing. That's not a pod thing. That's not a famous thing. That is from very early on in life. I get it from my mom. When you start to feel like people that you care about are taking advantage of switch flicks. And that's what happened around the time. There was a lot going on. I really wish I would have handled it with a lot more grace and love. Because what I heard after that from somebody that I admire was, oh no, that was, damn, who did I interview? The lawyer. But he was like, no matter how anybody feels about the situation, facts are always facts, right? So there's nothing to really argue about or be emotional about when you're dealing with facts and facts only. And my side of all that shit was just fact-based. Right. Their side was probably a little more emotional. And I ain't read that well because I don't do well with that. Like even the women in my life, when they're trying to have that soft, emotional, sensitive moment, like you got to really break it down for me. I'm a Virgo, like give it to my brain so I understand where we coming from. So we went through all that. We had that whole big blow up, and I still couldn't even tell you what it's about. I can't tell you what it's about. They didn't ask me for nothing.
Egos.
We just fought.
Egos are an MFer. See, I didn't curse, but egos are an MFer. And fake